As Laura said, today is more around focused on pension planning for everybody. We have a really, I think, jargon-free and logical presentation to bring everybody through. I'm also going to use our financial planning software to really help you visualize what a pension can do for you versus maybe an investment account and a savings account. And in one of the first presentations we gave to you guys, we talked about overall financial planning. We talked about protecting, growing, and replacing your income when you do get to retirement age. And I did mention the fact that most of the guys in Freenow and fairness are in a situation where even when you get to non-retirement age, you might still continue to be driving and you might still have a side income. But having a pension plan or some plan and provision when you get to retirement age is about giving you the flexibility to be able to completely stop working or work less. So it's not a case where you have to retire because you have a pension plan. It can be a case you have more flexibility. For those that might have missed the first session, as Laura said, my name is Paul Merriman. I'm founder of Ask Paul, and I'm the CEO of a company called Fairstone here in the Irish marketplace. We're based in Stillorgan, County Dublin. We manage about 265 million of assets for clients. We've over 9,000 clients, almost 10,000 clients now. And we have quite an active Instagram, social media, TikTok channel. And the reason we have that is to try and deliver really free, jargon-free financial planning advice to people. So whether it's about mortgages or pensions, investments. And in fairness, the Freenow basis to condense that into the Money Masterclass series for you guys, which is what we're back to deliver today, obviously focusing on pensions. I would encourage you, if you are on any social media, to follow the channel. And the reason is that there's just constant free content in relation to financial planning, which we think everybody should be educated on. And before we get into talking about pensions, we spoke about this again the last couple of sessions. This is in relation to financial well-being and what the word financial well-being should mean to you. There's a lot of banks out there talking about financial well-being. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how banks are not interested in financial well-being. We look at commission and charging structures later on. But I want you to kind of understand that financial well-being is what you make it, not me or not a bank or another financial planner. You have to kind of identify what you want out of your own financial life. And what makes you happy and what brings you financial peace of mind or financial well-being. People sometimes need help with that from someone like me, but the very basics of having a financial plan or a financial wellness feeling would be that, you know, this statement here is from the Financial Protection Bureau in the United States. Is they define financial well-being as that you have a state of well-being where you have control over your day-to-day finances, or month-to-month finances, have the capacity to absorb a financial shock, on track to meet your financial goals, and have the financial freedom to make you, to allow you to enjoy your life. So what does this mean? You know, you don't see pension in there, credit card, mortgage, etc. The big thing here is that it gives you the freedom to make choices that allow you to enjoy the life. You guys work really, really hard, sometimes really, really long hours. So it's very important that when you earn income under a self-employed basis, that you understand how you make that income work as high as possible for you, and making sure you're taking advantage of the tax relief that's out there on various different schemes. Obviously, today we're going to talk about pensions. Making sure you're claiming your taxes correctly, whether it's medical expenses for yourself or your kids, and making sure you're not leaking too much money to the revenue commissioners is really what we try and help our clients with. And it is really important that you learn how to manage your money the best way possible, and make sure that you have that comfort at some stage of life, whether it's 50, 55, 65, or 70 years of age, that you can stop working. And I think a lot of people underestimate the power of, you know, planning for the future. In this wheel, we discussed this the last time as well, it's the financial wheel of life. You know, there's very basics that you should be doing, making sure you have a personal budget, an emergency fund in place, that you have really low debt if possible. You have protection plans in place. So if you have a family, you might have life assurance, or as a driver, you know, you won't get income protection, but you possibly have specified serious illness cover that would look after any major illnesses like heart attacks, cancers, and strokes. You get a tax-free lump sum. Savings investments are important, which we'll discuss today as well with you guys. Mortgage is obviously important. You have it under control. If you don't have a mortgage yet, to be honest, you'd probably prioritize mortgages over pensions till you get your mortgage. Now we're going to talk about pensions and tax. So overall, you don't have to have all this nailed today. And this little video shows you that, you know, as you progress through life from 18 years of age up to 65 years of age, the idea is that you'd have probably short-term debt and a mortgage, probably not much savings or pensions. The whole idea is that as you grow older, your debt reduces and your pensions and investment accounts expand up. So by the time you get to 60, 65 years of age, you're in a situation where you're debt-free, cash in the bank, and you also have a pension account. Now, I've already mentioned pensions a number of times and jumping on it. Obviously, you guys are here to talk about pensions as well, or listen to me talk about pensions. It was the name on the masterclass today. But I want you to forget about everything you've ever heard or know about pensions for a second. A pension is just a savings account. That's all it is. It's just a savings account that has massive tax relief. You don't have to invest your pension. If you're risk averse, you can put it into cash or deposit accounts. You don't have to see the fluctuations go up and down in value if you're uneasy with that. And typically speaking, a pension is an account that you don't access till you're 60. That's all it is. It's not that complicated to get your head around. Our industry has made it quite complicated. A pension is the single-handed number one way to build wealth in Ireland in a tax-efficient way. There's nothing else as tax-friendly as a pension plan. So like I said, for the next, 40, 50 minutes, we'll do a Q&A at the end of it. Try and forget about everything you've heard about pensions before, whether it's your parents, your grandparents. Forget about the state pension as well for a second. I will get into that later on. But this is basically you deciding to put a piece of money aside every month or every year to reduce your tax bill, to help you have a big fund at retirement age that you can rely on rather than having to go to work. And that's all a pension is. Think of it as a credit union account that you can't access till 60. Think of it as a Bank of Ireland savings account that you can't access till 60. However, the revenue commissioners are going to help you fund that savings account. And to be honest, that's all a pension is. It gets a little bit complicated after that, but we can talk about that during today's presentation. When we look at financial planning, we mentioned this the last time as well, there's 3 components to a good financial plan. Protect what you have, grow what you have, investment account, and replace what you have as in your income when you stop working at retirement age. Some of you might have ambitions to retire at 55 or 60. Some of you might want to go, part-time work. You might only work 1 or 2 days a week or every morning, whatever your situation is. But ultimately speaking, what you're trying to achieve is when you do no longer need to work or you want to work less, you need to have something in place. It could be investment property. It could be cash in the bank. It could be an investment account. It could be cash under your mattress. But I'm going to show you visually in a couple of seconds why the pension plan makes sense. And I'll demonstrate that now in a few moments. Today, we're obviously going to discuss protection and replace, or protect your income and growing your income. We'll discuss that, right? So today we're going to focus obviously on the pension piece. You need money to retire, not age. So regardless of what age you want to retire at, it's not going to be practical unless you have the money to retire from. And I mentioned already, you might be watching this back with a spouse or a partner later on. So I'm going to be talking about PAYE workers, workplace, self-employed, old work pension plans. So, some of you might have a previous company pension plan, or your spouse might be made redundant or might be leaving the company. So I'm going to try and incorporate as much pension advice I can in today's session, just so you can know as much as possible. And really, it's about you taking control of your personal finance and your future. So if you're in a situation where you have a previous pension plan from a previous company, or if it's in a case where, your bank managed to get you to get a pension plan, you need to change it ASAP. You need to give us a shout, because the pensions from banks are extremely high on management charges. I'm going to show you the impact that will have to your pension plan over the long term now in a couple of minutes. But if you have a spouse, like I said, that has an old pension plan, reach out, have a chat with us or somebody else. I'm going to give you at the end of this, there's a free consultation for people from Freenow that want to have a pension consultation with us. And that will extend to your family, so as a spouse or a partner. So make sure you get really good solid advice. There's loads of options in old company pension plans. You can access them from 50 years of age, believe it or not, where a personal pension or a PRSA, you can only access from 60 years of age. And that's really, really, really important. So the types of pension plans that are out in the marketplace at the moment, and these are quite confusing to be fair to everybody. So a personal pension plan, as a self-employed Freenow driver, you can access a personal pension plan. Or you can access what's called a PRSA, a personal retirement savings account. If you work for a company like me, say you work for me as a PAYE worker, you could be in a company pension plan if I was contributing alongside you. And a personal retirement bond is when you move from the company pension and you want to transfer it into your own name. We've got clients that have all 4 types of pension structures, and sometimes that can make sense because each structure has different rules. So for argument's sake, the PRSA, you can invest in pension property. The personal pension, you generally can't. They're not as easy to do it. The company pension, you can't access till you leave or at 60 years of age. But if you do leave before 60, you can access it from 50 years of age. And the same with the PRB, the personal retirement bond. So I suppose I'm not trying to confuse everybody, but it might be a case that you might have one or two of these already, or your partner or spouse might have. So it is important to have a pension consultation and let your advisor know everything you have in place at the moment, and they can help you pick the best structure for you going forward. For self-employed people, typically speaking, it's going to be one of the first two, the PPP, the personal pension plan, or the personal retirement savings account. Excuse me, sorry. Or the personal retirement savings accounts. There's not much difference between these. The charging structure should be the same. Basically, you know, the revenue commissioners bought out personal retirement savings accounts in early 2000 to try and wipe out all other pension plans. That didn't end up happening, and we just ended up with another type of pension account. These can be paid through your bank accounts and tax relief claimed at the end of the year, or we can adjust your tax credits depending on how you're paying yourself. So again, I'll bring you through all the tax elements this in a second. But either way, forget about the names of them. You're looking at 4 savings accounts, guys. It doesn't make a difference what the name on the tin is here. They're just savings accounts that typically you won't access till 60, except, like I said, the company pension, the PRP. You can sometimes access them from 50 years of age, which can be quite advantageous to some clients. So that's it. Just savings account and nothing else to worry about. What we ask our clients to consider when they get towards 55 or 60 years of age is on this screen, okay? And I want you guys to think about this today. And some of you might be only 30 or 40 or even younger. Some might be in your 50s or even approaching 60 years of age or older again. What we need to discuss here is with clients is to get them into the frame of mind of thinking about pensions is what's going to happen when you get to retirement. So let's say you're retired tomorrow, and what are you going to do? Okay, so what assets are you going to call on? Are you going to downsize the house? Will you be mortgage free? A lot of our clients are mortgaged up to 70 years of age now. Are you going to be mortgage free? Do you have another investment property? What's your inheritance liability? Are you going to receive an estate from your parents, or are you going to be given an estate down to your kids? And what the inheritance calculations are there, and inheritance tax calculations need to be considered. We also want to look at tax. Over 65 years of age, you can earn up to 36 grand a year tax-free, which is phenomenal. So, you know, it could be a case where you get the majority of your pension out tax-free. If you're over 36 grand, you'd have a little bit of a tax leakage in your pension account. Are you going to live to 100 years of age? You know, I'm 41 years of age. When I was a kid, my granddad, when he was 60, was exceptionally old to me. Now my dad is in his mid-70s and he's not that old to me, because people are living longer and longer. The problem with it is the longer you live, the more money you're probably going to use as well. In our financial planning service, I'm going to show you a live financial plan for pension clients later on. You're going to see what happens when you look at someone from 40 years of age, my age, right the way through to 100 years of age, and how you draw down your benefits. And I'm going to really explain that now in a couple of seconds. If you go into long-term care provision when you get to 65, 70 or 75, you have any health ailments or your spouse does, are you going to use the Fair Deal scheme for a nursing home? And that's where the government will take a proportion of all your assets, including your pension and your family home. There's ways of passing those down to kids if you have them that come out of that net. But again, that has to be structured correctly. Are you going to have grandchildren? Are your grandchildren going to be living in Ireland or living abroad? If they're living abroad, you're going to have to travel more. You're going to have a higher budget, therefore, if you want to see your grandkids. So these, like, again, I'm not trying to scare anybody or get anybody paranoid, but these are logical conversations we have with all our clients from 55 to 65 years of age, because you need to get geared up for thinking this way. Now, like I said, I'm 40. I haven't started thinking this way. Probably have because of the game I'm in, obviously. Most 30, 40-year-olds don't think about this. It's probably 55 plus, but I just thought I'd give you a visual to see what we talk about. Are you going to go on holidays? You know, do you want to go on 2 or 3 holidays? Like when we ask people what they want to do when they retire, they typically say travel and spend more time with their kids. And that tends to be the number one thing people want to retire for. If you want to travel a lot, obviously you're going to need a bigger budget, which is fine. But again, you might do that by downsizing. You might be looking enough to live in a big house and you might want to downsize to an apartment in Spain. That could release a few €100,000 worth of cash for you. You might need a pension plan then. So again, it's not always about pension planning as in a pension account. What this session is about is retirement planning and what you're going to be doing at retirement age. Now, obviously, I can't see everybody that's on this session, so I don't know what age profile these are. So I'm trying to give a general picture. But please reach out for a free consultation. You're going to see the financial planning stuff now in a second, which I think will blow your socks off. And you should get one of them personally done for yourself. The other thing to consider here is the pension pay gap. We know there's a big difference between the gender pay gap between men and women in the workforce, and it'll be the same when it comes to pensions. So if you have a spouse or if you're female watching today, you know, it might be a situation where, typically speaking, females take longer time off work to care for kids, and therefore they mightn't contribute to the pension as much and have a smaller pension pot. Or if you have a spouse and the spouse is working in the house and they haven't funded a pension plan to make a difference whether a male or female, that situation, you're going to have a situation where you might have one income or one pension plan for two people. So you're going to have more, and there's two people living on one pension plan, obviously. A lot of what I'm talking about here is very logical. It's just that we don't talk about it enough in Ireland, or people don't think about it probably until it's too late. So because you guys are self-employed as well, you pay your tax at the end of October for the preceding year. So for those of you that worked in 2022, your tax liability is due by October 2023. When you get that tax bill, let's say it's €10,000, you can reduce that tax bill by making a pension contribution. So depending on the size of your income for last year, if you typically earned more than 40 grand in the year, you're going to be paying the 40%, the higher rate of income tax. And what that means is that every time you make a contribution to the pension, you're going to get relief of up to €40 from the revenue commissions for every €100. So visualize this for you here. So in the situation on the right-hand side, the higher rate of income tax, if you have a situation where you have, again, you know, you're going to put a €10,000 contribution into your pension plan, or €1,000 or €100, whatever it is. Let's say you start a pension contribution at €1,000 or €100. You're going to get €40 back off the revenue commissioner. So it's only going to cost you, it's only going to cost you €60. So just let that sink in for a second. If you had €60 today and you went into a pension, the revenue top it up to €100. That's the equivalent of a 60% return. So there's nowhere in the world that someone's going to give you a guarantee. Government is going to guarantee to give you a 60% return as soon as you put money into a pension plan. And all I have to do is keep it there till 60. So that's what I'm saying. You can talk about, I'm going to show you a couple of funds in a few minutes that give you maybe 6 or 8% return. Someone's done 10% per annum over the last 30 years. The revenue is basically giving you 60%. Now on here is 40%. So what happens on my slide here is that you put in 100 and they give you €40 back. Okay. So €100 with €40 go back. You're going to say that's 40%, Paul. Yeah, it's a 40% of a rebate. But really, you've taken €60 and grown it up to €100. That's a 60% real return. So if you start off with 60 and you multiply it up by 40%, 60%, you're going to get up towards €100. There's nowhere I know of in the world that a government will guarantee you a 60% return on your money. Investment properties don't do it. Commercial properties don't do it. Even Bitcoin, right? Really good at currency stuff. You're just not going to get a guaranteed 60% return every year anywhere. Now, revenue will make you subject to relief of what your age profile is. On the right-hand side here, you'll see if you're in between 40 and 49%, you can put in 25% of your income. Now, for you being self-employed, it's what's called your net relevant earnings, what the tax is actually, the accountant is actually declaring as income for you. So obviously, if you're turning over 100 grand a year and your cost of your petrol, your diesel, your car repayments, your mobile phone, you know, what you pay Freenow, all these different expenses will come off. Let's say you're declaring 50 grand a year. And if you're declaring 50 grand a year and you're between 50 and 54, you can put in 30% of that 50,000 a year and get all this tax relief. If you're earning less than 40%, revenue will give you 20% relief. Which is the equivalent of a 25% odd gross return. So it's really important just to step back for a second and say, number one, pension is just a savings account. Number two, the revenue commissioners help you fund it. That's all the pension is. And you'd be absolutely crazy not to have one at some stage of life. Now, at some stage of life is a very important part of the statement I just made. The reason being is, number one, again, if you have if you are still living at home with your parents, say for argument's sake, and you don't have a deposit for a house, or you're renting and you don't have a deposit for a house, I think, you know, forget about tax liabilities and tax advantageous part of a pension plan. You need to make sure you can get on the property ladder quickly. So you probably don't want to be locking money away for 60-year-old you. You want to make sure you have enough money to get on the property ladder. So pension should also form part of a logic financial plan. And that's really important. So what I'm going to do now is give you an example of a financial plan. I'm going to stop the screen share for 1 second. Let me see if I can. Great. And I'm going to go into, there's a questions box by the way down the end, guys, if you have any questions. So 1 second here, I'm going to go into my cash flow. So this is, I've developed this cash flow analysis earlier on. This is what a financial plan will look like with us. If you come in for a financial plan or a pension plan, this is what it will look like. So I'm going to share the screen. This is one I prepared earlier for you guys, because I think there's nothing like this. That will be, I'm sorry, log in again. So 1 second. Did prepare it earlier on, so it's system's making me log in again. Just give me 1 second, please. Back in action. Yeah. So this is what the financial plan will look like under a pension consultation. So we have 2 clients here. It's actually just mimicking myself and my wife's names. So 40 and 38 years of age, and the plan is going to forecast us right away to 100 years of age here. It will take our life expectancy into consideration, which is late 80s, early 90s, and we want to both retire at 65 years of age here. Now, what I want to do today is show you the difference between a credit union account, an investment account, and a pension. Okay, and this will really hammer home to you guys. So let's say we have somebody who has a credit union account with 0 in it, a regular investment account with 0 in it, and a pension plan with 0 in it today. We're going to project the pension plan at 6% gross. Okay, that means you're going to get a 6% return, potentially, obviously not guaranteed, but we're going to target a 6% return here. Up here, the regular account is going to get 6% gross, but in the investment account, you're taxed on your growth. Okay, but in the pension, you're not. So down here, you'll see the 6% gross falls to 3.54%. Down here, your 6% is still 6%. In the credit union, you're getting zilch, 0% return. Okay, so you have 3 accounts with nothing going into them yet. Pension, investment, and a cash account in the credit union. Very simple to follow so far. On your contributions, we're going to put €400 per month or 100 quid a week into the credit union account, €100 a week into the investment account, which is 400 a month. And then with the pension, we're actually going to put €360 in. So if somebody is putting €600 into the pension, they're going to get 40% relief. Okay, and that's going to give €360 as a net cost. Okay, so if you're on €600 and you're putting that in, you're getting 40% relief. You're going to have that net amount. So it's only going to be €630 going back into the pension accounts. Okay, it's actually 340. Sorry, it's €160 relief. So it's going to be €340 in net cost. So you're going to be putting 340 into the pension, 400 into the investment account, and 400 into the credit union. Hope everybody's following me so far. Wait till you see what happens to this 40-year-old when they get to 60 years of age. Now, we're also including charges in here as well of 1.25%. So here's our 3 accounts. So we're starting here at 40, and next year we decide to do this. When we get to 65 years of age here, the credit union is going to have 93 grand in it. The investment account is going to have 125 grand in it. Look at the pension. The pension is 262 grand in it. Okay. Now the pension, the investment account, they get the same return, the same fund, but the pension has no tax. Number one, tax relief on the way in at 40%. And then also it has that tax-free growth element where that 6% is a real 6%. And down here, the 6% is actually only 3.41% because in the investment account, the revenue will charge you 41% on your growth. Okay, but that's voided in the pension. So what you should be seeing here, guys, already is that the pension with the same, less money actually to your back pocket. The pension are only putting in 340 a month, you know, your back pocket after tax, and the investment account, you're putting 400, and in the credit union, you're putting €400. Look at the massive difference. So the person that sits in the credit union here is going to have 93 grand. Look at this. The pension account has 262,000. Same money, actually less money to you going into the pension account. Now, people will always ask me, Paul, what happens then? What happens when I get to 65 years of age? I don't understand how I get my pension. So prepare this one, taking your pension. So what I've assumed in this scenario here is that when you get to 65, you're 90 grand here and you're 160, you've just spent them. You've cleared the mortgage, bought a place abroad, whatever it is. So up here, you'd have €248,000 in your pension accounts. You're entitled to take 25% tax-free cash out of there, okay? Up to a maximum of 200,000 tax-free cash. So here you'll see that equates to 120 grand is taken out. Oh, no, sorry, €62,000 was taken out of the pension account. Okay. So over here, your pension account goes from 248,000, 62 grand goes into your bank account, and then you're left with €175,000. And you just draw down 5% per year is the minimum. You must take 4% between 60 and 70, and then 5% from 70 thereafter. So out of your 175, you'll draw down 5% minimum a year. And that 5% provides you with an income, a small enough income. So you'll see here, this income here is about 8 to 9 grand. And you can take out more if you like. It's going to be subject to income tax, obviously. So we'll like to say to clients is it will depend on what your overall assets are. We'll do these calculations with you when you get to retirement age or closer to retirement age. Now, if you have no other income, you'll also get the state benefit, by the way. You'll have the state pension paid in here. So in this situation, if I go up into income and I add an income, I'll add a state pension here for this client. You'll see here when they get to retirement age, they're going to have the pension coming in here at 13 grand a year. So that's forecasted my state pension. State pension is from 68. Now, guys, I'm 41. If anyone here is in their 40s, you're not going to be 68 getting the state pension. Will probably be 70 years of age, truth be told. But at the moment, we can only give advice on what it's based on. So you have 13 grand from the state. This top up here of 8 grand from the pension, but you can take more if you want. In this situation, you know, as a married couple, you might have 24 grand a year coming in. We could take another 12 grand a year out of pension tax free. So we'll increase that 8 to 12 grand to take advantage. But that's based on what you need at retirement age. So hoping that makes sense. So the main part of this, what I wanted everyone to realize is this. A lot of you might be putting €100 aside into the mattress or into somewhere. But it's very, very, very important that you understand the difference between the accounts. In my opinion, obviously, we have mortgage interest rates hiking, we have fuel, we have a cost of living crisis. You might be able to afford to put money to the pension plan. But like I said, you're all going to have a tax liability. We've had a good year last year. You're going to have a tax liability by October 31st to pay, or by 14th of November if you're going to pay it online. And a way to reduce that bill is to make a contribution into the pension plan. So if you had a bill of €10,000 today, and if you put 10,000 into a pension plan, you're going to get 4 grand relief. It means you only owe the revenue 6 grand now rather than €10,000. So it's a way of making sure that you're utilizing that tax scheme as much as possible for yourself. And that's what I really want to get across today. I really don't want to make this complicated, you know, because people are so paralyzed with too much information or information overload when it comes to pensions that they just get so confused and say, oh, I'll leave it. It's the worst thing you can do. You need to have a conversation with somebody, spend an hour with somebody going over your own personal financial plan. Have you a mortgage? Have you kids? How much are you earning? How much tax are you paying? And what should we be doing? And I hope that's coming across from today's presentation. It's really, really, really needed. I'm just going to, I think somebody said I haven't shared. How likely is 6% per annum in the pension fund? So that's a really, really good question. So let's have a look at that next, okay? I'm going to stop the screen share here again when I prepare another slide. So I'm actually going to go back to my slides here for a quick second before I show you the fund I use for my clients, what we use here. Go back to this one and let me see. So I have 3 or 4 screens in front of me here with loads of stuff prepared, guys. So I do apologize for being a bit slow on the sharing of screens. I see. To Zoom, questioning as well. At 60 years of age, can one start a pension? Yes, you can. You can start a pension at any age. It doesn't make a difference what age profile you are. I'm going to share this screen. So here is a good example of investments for you guys, okay? So I want to go back to, let me see, I'll find the right slide for you guys. Okay, so here's 3 funds. €250 into various different funds depending on the client's attitude to risk. So what I'll do is call these low, medium, and high risk. This client got 3% on $250 a month. This client gets 6% on $250 a month, and this client gets 9%. Okay, so I've projected 6%, but we've clients that have got well over 9% per annum. I'm going to show you that evidence now in a second. Look at the difference here, though, from 1990 up to 2021. So look, you're looking at a 30-odd year period in fairness, a long period of time. But if someone in their 40s or their late 30s listen to this, this is perfect. If you put 250 quid a month in, you got 9% return, you'd have over 540 grand approximately in the pension plan. Now, this doesn't include charges, to be fair. Down here, you're going to have a return of just under 300,000, about 280 grand. And then down here, the blue account, you're going to have just under about 160, 170. The main point here is that it's very important how you invest your money. When you put the money into the pension plan, you can make a decision to take that money, that 100 quid a month, 500 quid, 250 quid a month, whatever it is, and invest it in the investment account in the pension. So the pension, you can sit in cash, earning no money, 0% risk, nothing going to go wrong. Well, except inflation will lead into your capital, obviously. Or you can decide to invest it and you pick an investment account, okay? So that's the difference. Someone's going low, medium, and high risk. Let's say 3 drivers are sitting down today with me, and it's 1990. One of you does the blue account, and one does the orange, and one does the gray account. Obviously, the guy in the gray account is going to have a far different, better retirement than the person in the blue account, because they're going to have 540 odd grand compared to 180 grand, approximately. So therefore, you could kind of say it makes sense if you knew in hindsight that the 9% account was going to work out. So where would you find such accounts? So here's one of the accounts that we use for the majority of our clients. It's one of multiple accounts that we have. I just want to give you a quick example of what it looks like. This here is called the Zurich Dynamic Fund. This fund has been around since 1989. 1989 here. It has over 2 billion in it. It's invested 630 stocks from around the world. And since 1989, on average, it's done 10% per annum. Now, it's gone up and down in value, but on average, is 10% a year. So one thing you need to realize when you're investing, no matter whether it's a pension account or investment account, if you're going to invest in stocks and shares, they will always go up and down in value. So if you look at this fund, last year it was down minus 18%. The year before it was minus 24%, 14%, minus 4% here, minus 3% here. In 2007, it was down 30 odd percent. I think it was 36 or 37% in 2007 with the financial crisis. However, the best way to invest in the pension is going in on a monthly basis, because you're buying high and low and you get that average return. So someone that got into this fund back in 1990 or back in 1989 when the fund was developed and went in on a monthly basis, their average return would have been 10% per annum, which is phenomenal. So there's loads of these funds. You've got multiple different companies in the Irish marketplace, from Irish Life to Aviva to New Ireland to Standard Life to Zurich to Royal London. So you've got various different channels. Then the bank channels will come along and try and get you into a pension account. The banks are all tied to Irish Life, except for Bank of Ireland. They're tied to New Ireland Life Insurance Company. We've access to them all here. This one in Zurich is a phenomenal account. I invest it myself on a monthly basis. Does exactly what it says in the tin. A really, really strong account. So the person that asked me was 6% realistic. This fund has done 10% over the last 30 years. Now, over the last 10 years, it's done 10%. Over the last 3 years, it's done 9%. Over the last 5 years, 9%. So consistently beating that 6% over all those investment periods. A really, really, really good fund to consider. Now, I mentioned earlier on, I'm going to stop my screen share again, guys. I did mention earlier on banks, okay? Now, the major issue with the banks, not just saying it because they're competitors, I actually don't really consider them competitors, to be fair, but the banks would. So the bank is somewhere where you can go in and get financial advice. I don't think it's the best place to go, obviously. Probably would say that being a broker, but the problem is, like I said, all the banks are tied to life companies, but the banks are expensive to operate. Big buildings, big rents, loads of staff, less staff these days, but you still have big overheads. So the banks are typically way more costly from a financial planning point of view for commissions. And I'm going to show you a live example now of how that works, okay? So I'm going to back into my presentation. Spare me for 1 second there. I get the right slide for you. So in this example here, when you see this, this will really, please, I'm not just saying this, if you do have a pension plan with the bank, please give us a shout ASAP. It's massively different. So if you go into my presentation, sorry, I've got so many slides here, guys. Do bear me 1 second if you don't mind. Go back into the presentation here. I'm sharing the wrong slide. System doesn't want to participate with me anymore. So let me see, share screen and this screen. Sorry, apologies. Okay, so on this screen here, you will see fees and charges. Okay, so difference of 50,000 euro. Okay, so let's say we had a portfolio here and it was getting 6% growth and 6%. So our recommendation was getting 6% and the bank's portfolio was getting 6%. Okay, so let's say we both had this. Let's say you wanted to go to Irish Life for your pension and you went into Permanent TSB. Permanent TSB have to give you Irish Life. They can't give you anybody else. And let's say, for argument's sake, I was to give you Irish Life. I wouldn't, but if I was, this is what would happen. In the bank would probably charge you a 95% allocation and we'll give you 100% allocation. Now, our industry is full of jargon. So allocation means how much of your money is allocated to your pension. Very easily to understand. The bank will give you a 95% allocation, meaning 95% of your monthly contribution will be allocated to your pension. The other 5 is a charge. We give 100% allocation. So every time you make a contribution, 100% of your money goes in, so we don't charge you that 5%. The bank might charge you up to 1.75% of a management charge. Our ranges go between 1 and 1.25%. Look at the difference in our portfolio versus the banks. The bank's client comes back with 334K after 60%, after 6%. And here we come back with 385 over the same period of time and the same fund. The difference has been the charging structures. So please don't go to a bank. And if you have a bank that has sold you a pension in the past, reach out to us ASAP. We can transfer into our account and make sure we reduce those charging structures. Because the banks are extremely expensive to do business with. So just bear that in mind. The worst place to go is a bank. And I'm not just doing a bit of bank bashing. If any of you do follow me on Instagram, I'm on the slaughter in the banks. They're absolutely making a hames of the mortgage market when they're passing all the interest rates. The banks are again up against in front of their OCRAS committees. And they're also not passing on the deposit rates that they're getting from the European Union. So the banks are getting over 3% from deposit accounts from the European Union, and they're giving us an average less than 1%. So they're making billions out of our savings that are in the banks. It's a nightmare. The last place in the bank you should go for financial advice, last place in the world you should go for financial advice, in my opinion, is a bank, and just on those stats alone. So like I said, really keep an eye on your charges. It's really, really, really important. I'm just going to check in to see have we a few questions coming in, trying to answer where I'm going. Is 40% the only earnings over 40 grand, but your net earnings are below, you're not getting anything? So really good question. So there's a question come in, I'll repeat it. Is 40% only for earnings over 40,000 euro? Yes, but if you're earning less than 40,000 euro, you're going to get 20% relief. Now, if you're not paying any income tax at all, you're not going to get relief, obviously. So if you're turning over 20 grand a year, you have 10 grand worth of expenses, and you're netting 10 grand, you're not going to have any income tax, you're not going to have any income tax saved on your pension contribution. But if you're turning over 30 grand a year net relevant earnings, you'll have 20% reduced. So for every 100 euro put in, revenue are going to give you back 20%. So you still get a really decent contribution, but not as high as the more. Is there a minimum you can put in on a monthly basis? I have a pension fund from previous job, one of the last 15 years. 40 grand. So that 40 grand, if you're over 50 years of age, you should be transferring, you're 52, you said, you should give us a shout for the pension consultation, and we'll transfer that from the previous pension into your current name, if it makes sense to do it. Okay, I'm 52 now. I want to start small amount with view to increasing over next years as mortgage, etc. start to clear. I'm not sure what your mortgage is, but we could grow that, pension plan, hopefully that 40 grand up and access to before 60, take your tax-free cash, clear your mortgage quicker, use your mortgage repayment to go into the pension plan with tax relief. That's a really cool thing to do if you can do it. But again, it's something, Alan, we would bring you through on our pension consultations. Can the fund okay, this is a really good question, actually. Can the funds in the pension account be wiped out, say, in the event of a market crash? Great question, right? So what we're going to do now is discuss the fund I showed you already. I'm going to show it to you again. Again, let me get myself. So look, that's a really good question, because I do realize that people have a lot of fears about investing, especially when you look at the press and the media. So our fund, got a couple of funds here for you. So I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of the S&P 500, okay? So the S&P 500 is an index. So it's the top 500 companies on the New York Stock Exchange. So when you hear somebody on RTE or, on Bloomberg or somebody saying the market's down, they're probably talking about the S&P 500. What we do know about markets is that they go up and down in value and they're cyclical. I've never come a situation where everyone has their pension plan wiped out when they've been in the markets. What I have seen is people be silly in the past where they might have taken all their pension and just put it into one share, like a Bank of Ireland share, or a lot of people did this and they got wiped out. Or a big famous one, I think it was one of the RT presenters, took their money and put it into a property syndicate down in Ballsbridge that got wiped out when the financial crash came. If you're going into stocks and shares, like the dynamic fund I showed you, I'm going to show you just visually wise what happens with stocks and shares, okay? So I'm going to share this screen with you and show you, this is the S&P 500, okay? So this is the S&P going back to 19. I'm going to drag this here. I'm going to show you the S&P over a shorter period of time, okay? So let's go back. Let's go way back. Now, here is 2007. So could everyone, this is the S&P, the top 500 companies in the New York Stock Exchange. So 2000, no, slightly change it. It's a bit temperamental, these Yahoo slides. So is that it? Yeah, okay. So in 2007, the market was here. Okay, this little cross point here is where the market was on the October 2007. Things started to literally go bad, but Lehman Brothers in the market crashed. Okay, The market crashed by up to 60 odd percent and it came down to here. Now, what happened, it took the market 5 years to return to the same level. See that level here? Here we go here. That's about level with where we were. See that there? See that line going across? So in 2013, so in around Paddy's Day 2013, the market was back to that high level of the end of 2007. So about 5.5 years. The market dipped and it came back within 5.5 years. Look what's happened since. Massive. Okay, so we're back up here. This is COVID-19, fell by 30 odd percent and recuperated in a couple of months' time. When people hear about their funds being wiped out, is that they've done a thing called they don't diversify. They put them into one single asset class or one single fund, and that fund will typically be property or one single bank stock. Okay, and that's what happens to the Irish marketplace. Now, the other thing you might have heard about is pension funds being wiped out with companies. So let's talk about Waterford Crystal being the example that you might have all heard about. Waterford Crystal years ago, how it was really called a defined benefit pension plan, a really good pension plan. And in that pension plan, the company put money into a fund and they said to the staff, when you get to 65, you're going to retire and we're going to pay you 50% or 2/3 your income forever. That was great in the 70s and 80s because people were dying when they got to 70, 75 years of age. The older they got, the more they had to pay. And that pension went bang, basically what happened. And everyone lost their pension. These are individual accounts. That can't happen. So like I said, if you diversify into something like the dynamic fund, it went up and down in value. In 2007, the dynamic fund was down about 37%. It would recover that lost position within 2 years. So the idea with a pension plan is to always invest regularly on a monthly basis because you would have bought high and low during that period. So I'll give you an example. Let's go back and focus on 2007 if we can. I'm not sure how we do that on this again in a second. Oh, here we go here. Let's really home in 2007, okay? So this is the overall S&P 500 example. So look at it now. Now that's obviously tidied down the time frame. We're only going from 06 to 014. I'll go even smaller again, rather. You're going to see a bigger impact on the graph, okay? Sorry. So here we go. Here's the market here. The very height of the market was the 10th August. No, sorry, that's the 8th of October 2007, okay? It's American dates. Yep. If you had to put 100 grand in that day, it would have taken you 5 years to get your 100 grand back. So that makes sense to everybody. It took 5 years. The market dipped and recovered. It would have taken you 5 years to get your money back. However, if you had a drip fed 100 grand in, let's say you put a grand a month in, you're going to put that in over 8 or 9 years. You would have bought really high there, but you also would have bought really low down here. And the following month, that money would have made money. And that's called dollar or euro cost averaging. And that's where a lot of people get their investment advice wrong when it comes to pensions. Another way, in October every year, you have your tax return. A lot of people just make one pension contribution every October. Now, let's listen to this. If you do that from, say, 40 to 60, you've got 20 Octobers. You've made 20 contributions. It means you've invested 20 times. If you do that on a monthly basis, it means you invested 240 times. Okay. Now, obviously, if you invest in something 240 times, you're going to get the average of that market more than if you invested 20 times. So the fundamental way to be really cute with your money, your investments and your pensions is to invest on a monthly basis rather than an annual basis, because you're going to buy in the market 12 times versus once. And it's going to really bring your risk profile down as well, or your risk appetite down. I suppose you're going on a monthly basis rather than once a year. And that's really, really, really important advice. So I hope that answered the question. Technically speaking, in the markets, you know, unless I've never seen the funds in Zurich have been around 30 years, they've gone through the 80s, they've gone through the 90s, the dot-com bubble, they've gone through a couple of wars, they've gone through September 11th, they've gone through the financial crisis, Ebola, it's gone through COVID-19, it's gone through the Ukraine war last year. And like, if you just look at that again, and I'm sure you can still see this tab, but last year it did minus 18%. And already over the last 1 year, it's up 14% over the last 12 months. Last year was a bad year. This year's turned out to be a really good year. And you're going to have those. So like I said, that's really what the fundamental of investments looks like behind the pension plan. I'm going to jump in and see if there's any more questions. It's working well on the questions as I go over at the end here. Okay, can the funds of pensions? Let me answer. Okay, I earned more than 40 grand a year and decided to go for a pension. Revenue pay my pension and I pay 40% tax. No. So let's use the example. You'll pay in 1,000, just say it was 800 quid a year or 810. it means you would have paid in 10,000 a year, and revenue will give you back 4,000 euro, or reduce your tax bill by 4,000 euro. So I hope that makes sense. So for every 100 euro you contribute, it's only costing you 60 euro. Revenue refunds you 40 euro. Now, it can be done two ways. Again, let's just keep the figure simple. Let's say you're paying in 10,000 euro, 900 odd quid on a monthly basis. If you're going to be paying in that, or 800 odd quid on a monthly basis, if you're going to be paying that in, say from January 2023 to December 2023, you pay 10 grand into the pension. Revenue owe you 4 grand. You get to October next year, you're paying your revenue bill of 10 grand, say. Revenue will say, hold on, we owe you 4 grand. Now we only want 6 grand off you. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And that's the way it works when you're self-employed. Now, if you're paying your taxes and revenue commissions on a monthly basis, you're going to get that immediate relief. Can I watch record this? I missed half of the mortgage videos as well. Yes, you can. I think Laura has them up on your YouTube account. On 59 years of age, like how much recommended to put into the pension fund? I hope it's not too late. It's not too late to start at all. It will depend on when you want to stop working, or depend on how you're going to access the pension plan. So yeah, I mean, typically speaking, you might only get 50, 60, 70 grand of the pension, but you're probably going to all get it out tax-free once you get over 65 years of age. So yeah, and you're going to get all that tax relief on the way in. Just book in for the free consultation. We can bring it all through this on an individual basis. Have a query from Irish Life calling about a pension. I've called them as my pension from previous pension with the CIF. Irish Life class like a bank. I charge you more. Yeah, so we can transfer that, Alan, from Irish Life into your own PRSA. If you wanted to set a PRSA up with us, we can take the CIF pension, put it in there, and reduce your charging structures. So yeah, Irish Life are probably going to hammer you on charges there as well as the bank. So yeah, it must be, yeah, just keep an eye on that and make sure you're not getting hammered in charges. Charges are the thing, like everyone, there's always going to be charges involved and stuff, but you're just only getting overcharged or ridiculously charged. Like I said, the bank are really difficult place to do business, in my opinion. We've been around, I've been 20 years in the business. I'm actually ex-Irish Life myself, and I would have done a lot of those CIF pensions back in the day. We've got a practice, we've 66 staff, nearly 10,000 clients. I said earlier on, we'll be, 10 years in business or 12 years in business now. You're required by UK firm last year as well. We're buying more firms this year. So we're going to wait for the foreseeable future. The point is that you'll have a relationship with us better than having a relationship with a bank, in my opinion. The bank going to turn over staff fairly quickly. But look, like I said, I'm trying not to sell ourselves compared to a bank, because I think a bank is, they're expensive to do business with. You're not going to get the service. So look, that's, I suppose, I'm kind of reluctant. There's nothing really more I can add to today's presentation. I'm on 50 minutes. I'm going to stay around for the next 10 minutes to give you more examples. We're going to talk about one or two other things in pensions now on the property market to give you guys a little bit of a flavor of what's going on economic-wise, and that will make a big difference to you guys. So keep the questions coming in. I see Laura has got back to everybody there as well, saying they will be available to watch back. But if you do have any questions, keep them coming in. But what I want to do now is just encourage you. It's free. Book in for a pension consultation. Let the guys know you're from Freenow. There's a code you put in for Freenow on our website. I'll actually show you that now as well here. So if you book here, I'll show you what to do to make sure we know where you're coming from, guys. So let me see. Where are we going here? This one here. So you'll see here, this is the book, the section under the Ask Paul website. You're going to go to book a consultation. Typically, it's not loading. When you go there, you're going to see a book, then book a link to book in. The pension consultation are currently there, it's free. But when you get to the book now section, there's a code. Just put in free now. The guys will prioritize you because we're quite booked out for the next couple of months. So if you put in free now and you're booked in for, say, 2 months' time, we'll ring you and prioritize you over the next couple of weeks is what we're committing to do for free now. So you select the service here as being pension consultation next. And then you pick your time here. August the 4th is the next one here on this one. And then down here, you'll see in terms of business, how can we best help you? Just put in free now here. And I will ask you what your income is and various different things. And once we see the free now, we'll prioritize you guys. So you put your name, date of birth, everything in there, and what's your income range. Anyway, like I said, I hope that helps. Please put the free now in. We'll prioritize you guys over everybody else is the commitment we made. Okay, what is the charge structure with your firm? One was to take advice and go at the free consultation, one's happy to go along. Okay, so really good question. So to be very transparent, we give 100% allocation. So the central bank actually allow us to take up to 5% commission on some of the life companies and up to 5% off you guys. We don't charge the client, we charge the life company replacing with. So if it's going to be Zurich or Aviva in this instance, they'll pay us a commission, we waive the fee, and the annual management charge, depending on how much is going into the contract and your age profile, will typically between 1 and 1.25% per year, and that's it. You know, so just to give you the calculations, that's so nobody is panicking over it, because I think people get caught up on charges a lot from these things. Like 1.75 in the bank is excruciating. So if it was, let's say, a 500 quid a month or 6,000 euro on a yearly basis, and as a 1% charge, you know, 60 quid a year. So just bear that in mind as well. You know, the consultation's free. You get an annual review with us as well, and we're happy to look after any other part of your business. So whether it's financial planning, pensions, mortgages, previous company pensions, yeah, we have a really good, favorable system for charging structures we feel for clients. So hope that answers your question. Let me see. Last one, will my pension when I retire as a taxi? Okay, last one. What will my what would be my pension when I retire? What, I don't know how much a pension would be unless you have a pension. Let me see. I missed something there. Yeah, I don't know. The example of giving someone the 40 and putting in, you know, a few hundred quid a month or 100 quid a week after tax relief, you know, if you're 40, the fund looks like 200 not grand at 60 at 6% growth. We'd be able to show you that in your personal consultation if you want to book in. I don't know what your thing is, you know. So I hope that makes sense. Have a 20 pension for previous job, no longer contribute, kind of transfer it. Yeah, you could probably transfer that, Fred, into a PRSA and then start making contributions on a weekly basis or monthly basis. We can tell you that in the consultation. In the consultation, guys, if you have a previous pension plan, just bring as much paperwork together, which is the consultation, as you can. The consultation can be in person or office in Stillorgan, or they can be online over Zoom or a Teams link, whichever is appropriate to yourselves. I'm not sure where everybody's living. Obviously, will be diversified around Leinster or the whole of Ireland. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So what I want to talk about quickly here then, just before I finish up, is I want to give you guys a view of the Irish marketplace, because in fairness, there's a lot of things outside of your control. You can control pension contributions, you can control getting tax relief, and they're all very straightforward things for us to advise you on. But the market out there is a bit shaky at the moment in relation to the economic data that's in there. And you're going to be getting a lot of information, the press, a lot of it scaremongering, a lot of it being misinformation as well, in my opinion. So what I wanted to bring you through quickly is just the kind of economic update, which I think is on this slide. Yeah. So the biggest issue we have with the Irish marketplace is inflation. You know, inflation is up over 6%. The only way the European Central Bank can bring down its inflation is increasing interest rates. You know, very important to keep an eye on this. When we do a pension consultation, we'll probably get you to do a full financial review of all your assets, so savings, investments, mortgages, what income you're bringing in, because, you know, if your mortgage is on a variable rate or a tracker rate, it's going to be going up quite severe over the next couple of years. It's already increased dramatically over the last number of years, but it's going to get worse before it gets better, in our opinions. So it's important to keep an eye on that. So it's important not to, you know, it's great to have a pension plan, but you don't want to be leaving yourself short for all these things that are going to happen in the next couple of years. You know, a lot of people are doing home reservations now for those that are first have already bought in the last 10 years, not moving home as quickly. Really hard to get mortgages for second-time buyers with increasing rates. So yeah, I think the mortgage market will probably stabilize. I don't think we're going to see a massive recession that we did in 2007. I think we will probably slip into a recession as in negative GDP, but, you know, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as bad as 2007 or back as COVID-19 had us all worried. I think we'll survive the storm. Central Bank have been quite strict in what they've lent to, so I don't think we have a massive property bubble waiting to burst. I think anything over 700-800 grand is going to struggle to sell as interest rates increase, but those first-time buyer houses from, you know, 300k to 500k will probably remain robust enough. Got really strong employment in the country. You know, we're still obviously part of the EU. So yeah, there's a lot of positivity going on in the marketplace despite the interest rate hikes. Now, obviously, if interest rates continue to rise, you'll start seeing higher unemployment and you'll start seeing a wobble in the economy. But like I said, I don't think it's going to be anything like 2007, 2008. So I do think it's quite robust for the next number of years. I just thought I'd mention that because it was one of the biggest questions we get asked on our social media channels as well. So look, guys, that's just about it from me. But I have another couple of questions I'm going to answer. Give me 1 second. For the next question. Sorry, I mean state pension. Yeah, so your state pension, if you're paying your income tax, you're going to have this contributory pension. It's about 13,000 a year from 68. If you're over 65 or over 60 towards 65, you'll probably get it from 66 years of age. But generally speaking, most people probably under 55 years of age will be 68 years of age getting the state pension. Mentioned this already for me. At 40, I know my state pension is not going to be there till I get to 70. We can't afford it. It's getting very expensive to fund the state pension. It's getting worse and worse, actually, in fact, because obviously people are living longer. They say they have to pay out more money. So yeah, I think the state pension is going to come under massive strain over the next 20 years, which is kind of another reason why you want to have your own provision in place and not be relying on the state to fund your pension for you. They're too unreliable in my opinion. Without getting too political. So yeah, I wouldn't be banking on it in your 40s, especially if you're 30s or 20s. It would be more difficult for the state to pay the pension going forward. Guys, that's been it from me. I just have to show you this slide actually. 1 second, relation if you have any questions, who to contact, where we are. So I'm getting bad at this sharing thing today. There's just I tried to prepare way too many slides, I think, for you guys, because we're just talking about pensions, trying to give as much advice as I can over an hour. And guys, I know I do talk quite fast as well, but I just had a lot to get through. So I want to try and give you, like I said, as much advice as we could. Sorry, I want to make sure, Laura, you might just let me know if you can see this screen now. It's a thank you screen.
Yeah, I can see it.
Great. Okay. And then the slide before that, I think, or somewhere. We're regulated by Central Bank of Ireland. Obviously, guys, everything I've used in today's presentation is, forecasts, past performance that rely on the future growth. I've mentioned when you invest, your market will increase and decrease over time. And if you have any questions at askpaul.ie, just mention Freenow on the subject bar. I'm going to try and get back to you before everybody else as part of the commitment with the Freenow relationship. And then the pension consultations is now free. I hope you discovered what I did now instead of free now. I've done now free. I was quite proud of that with the marketing team earlier on. So I'll give myself a pat on the back. But yeah, they're free. So just take advantage. Get an hour with a consultant. Have a good chat about your pensions and your future. There's nothing to be lose by having the consultation. And like I said, questions at askpaul.ie. It's free now on the subject line. Give us a shout if you need anything. I think